Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Eunice. If you're new here, welcome. So, how did I went from $17 an hour to working for a Big Four? Let's discuss. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how I started, challenges that I faced, a lesson that I've learned, and how I got to where I am today. So if that's something that interests you, please continue watching. So my career officially started in 2014 when I landed an administrative assistant role at the hospital. And back then in 2014, I was making $17 an hour. $17 an hour in 2014, that was a lot of money. For me anyway. I worked at the hospital for 4 years and I was in the emergency room. ER was very intense. I loved it. I learned a lot about how to deal with different personalities because I was dealing with nurses, doctors, health professionals, visitors, patients. I was dealing with everybody and I had to really learn how to communicate with people, learn how to, be emotionally intelligent and learn how to manage my time. I really liked working there, but I knew that I needed to be in an Anglophone environment for my personal and professional growth. So I was working in a hospital in Montreal, and Montreal is mostly French, and that hospital was mostly French. So I never worked in a Anglophone environment, but I knew that for what I visioned for myself, it needed to be in English. Then I got engaged and we were planning a wedding, and my husband was living in Edmonton, Alberta, which is in the west part of Canada. It was very far. I decided that the best thing for me was to, move there before the wedding. And to move there, I needed to get a job. So I started to apply like a crazy person. I started to apply for months. I think I applied for like 8 months with no success, nothing. And the problem was that I was living in Montreal, and whenever I was getting a call back, they were like, we would love to interview you. When can you come? When can you come to the interview? Well, I have to book a flight, and yeah, it was never a good setup. Finally got a call and they were like, hey, we saw your resume, we really like you to come and interview. We know you're not in Edmonton at the moment, but when are you available? And I was actually going there for the Christmas break, so I was like, well, I'm gonna be there for the Christmas break. They were like, perfect, let's book an interview for example, the 27th. I did the interview and I got the job. I was just so happy because it was a bump from what I was doing before, career-wise, let's say, and money-wise, because before I was making $17 an hour and that role was, I believe $25 an hour, which is, well, it was actually $50,000 per year. So I was very happy. I was like, yes, I made it. But the thing is, it was very different from the hospital. The hospital, it was in French. I was very comfortable communicating with people because French is my first language. But this new job, it's in English, completely in English. So I have to write in English, I have to speak in English. I was comfortable listening, writing in English, but speaking in English was a whole completely different story. I felt like I was very insecure about how I spoke, my accent, and I just had a crazy fear of speaking English just in general because I always felt like people were judging me by the way that I was speaking and by my accent. I remember on every Thursdays I was leading a meeting and I was just so stressed out before every meeting on every Thursday. And in that role I didn't really have to speak to anybody because it was kind of just being on the computer and answering emails. There was not much speaking involved really. So every Thursdays I was just scared to death. I was sweating, my hands were sweating. It was just a mess. Eventually just grew a confidence little by little. Enough for me to, talk to you in English on my YouTube channel. But not only that, but the industry that I was working in was a very male-dominated, white male-dominated industry. And for the longest time, I was the only female in that office and I was the only black female in that company. And for me, coming from Montreal, where there's so much diversity everywhere, it was just a huge, let's say, culture shock for me. Luckily for me, I learned my job very quickly, and I will say after 9 months I was bored. Like I was legit bored to death. And then again, I started to, look for something else, something more motivating, because it was a very, 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 very slow environment compared to where I was coming from, and I was just unmotivated altogether. At that time in 2019, job market was dry. Nothing was happening in the job market on that side of the world anyway. And then COVID happened and I got laid off. It was a temporary layoff, but still I got laid off. From March to, let's say, I believe it was September. I went back in September. It was part-time position, and that's something that was not working for me. So I was applying again and again and doing interviews, and finally I landed a job as a security analyst for a communication company. I started that job, again, very different environment. It was not really a 9 to 5 because I was doing night shifts, I was doing weekends, and I was working on holidays. So, but coming from COVID, coming from somewhere where I was just working part-time, it was a very big bump in my salary journey. Went from 50 to, I think over there it was like 70, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 72, bump in my salary. So I was really just happy to take it. It was very, very different. I was coming from a place where I didn't have to talk to anybody all day to where I had to talk to people all the time. That was my job. I had to take calls. And during that time, I think that's where I grew my confidence in speaking to people in English, because before I was not really doing that. I'm really glad I took that job. The schedule was brutal, but it made me more comfortable to just talk. At least I'm not scared of people judging me. But you know what? All of this allowed me to be where I am today. Now fast forward to today. Little old me was able to land a job at a Big Four. Despite the fear, I kept pushing, I kept showing up, and that's how you level up. What did I learn during my career journey, which is far from over because I am only 30, so I still have a long way to go, but this is what I have learned. You have to trust the process. Finding a job is not easy. Finding a good job is really not easy. It's challenging and it's stressful, and you apply and apply and apply, and you just get rejections left and right. It's still important to remember to trust the process. You have to remember every person's journey is unique. None of us will have the same journey when it comes to that. You do have unique skills and experience and qualities that makes you the perfect candidate for a specific job that is out there. So you should really focus on the value that you have instead of the rejections that comes your way. Another thing that we'll add is learn new skills. As you can see, they are trying to replace us with robots and AI technology and whatnot. That is why it's very important to learn new skills and perfect the skill that you do have already. Learning new skills will make you more attractive to future employers. There are many ways to learn new skills. You can either do courses or certifications. One thing that I did is that I did a certification through Coursera, which is powered by Google, I believe. It was a data analyst certification and it was affordable. It took me about 2 months to complete the certification. It was very insightful because I learned a lot about Excel and Power BI, and they do have a lot of different certification like program management, UX design, data analytics, and more. So I would definitely put the link in the description down below so you can check it out. Really recommend doing any type of certification that fits your profile. Another thing that really helped me was to learn how to interview. If you have an interview, one thing, preparation is key for a successful interview. You have to research the company, you have to research the industry, you have to make sure that you understand what the role is and understand what the employer is looking for, and you have to research the interviewers. That's going to be very helpful to help you succeed in that interview. Make sure to prepare answers to common questions, and make sure to also be able to answer those questions with specific skills and experience that you have. Go to the interview dressed professionally, arrive on time, show that you're serious, but also show that you're very excited and you're very happy to be there. So show some excitement, smile all throughout your interview. Make sure that you show your hands when you talk. Be relaxed, but in a professional way, kind of, if that makes sense. And at the end of the interview, please make sure that you have questions for them. So I hope this video was insightful and inspiring for you. This is part of what helped me level up professionally, I would say. Still a long way to go because my career is not over, so I still have a lot more to learn. But thank you so much for watching this video, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye. Bisous.